Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show on this Monday night, the Ides of March, the 15th, just about halfway through the month here, 7:32 p.m. Eastern Time. And good evening, Mr. Rayo. Mr. Rayo is on my left, and Mr. Chaffee is on the right. Not politically. This is just happenstance of our position. So, good evening, everyone. Busy.
Hello.
Hello out there in TV land. Okay, so we have a very busy night ahead, Mr. Rayo. Lots and lots of things going on between the snowstorm that was yesterday, the severe weather outbreak that is going to be taking place across the South over the next couple of days. And then, of course, what are the impacts with regards to these weather systems heading to the east? And will Joe Rayo get his 1.4 inches of snow at the at the park to make it an even 40 Thursday night into Friday morning? How are you feeling?
Are you thinking about Thursday night, Friday morning? Because I'm not counting out tomorrow either.
No. Tomorrow. I think that's just too. That's light stuff. I really didn't think there was going to be an opportunity to do much with that. I'm talking about Thursday night into Friday morning. Does the cold air arrive in time?
So you think well,
I don't know.
4 days away.
I'm dubious, and I expressed that. This is going to be one of those things, Joe. It's got to time out perfectly. If it's going to accumulate, you better change over to snow during Thursday, because once sunrise comes along, it's not exactly it's not exactly going to be dropping into the 20s and teens behind it. So no, I don't think if you get even some leftover precip in the morning, which is what some of the models are suggesting, I don't know that any of that could stick. So long shot. I still rate it a long shot.
I'm still thinking that tomorrow night might not be bad, although it's going to be a wet, slushy type of snow. I think that there's going to be Joe, I think there's going to be a burst of snow sometime tomorrow evening before it changes over to sleet and rain in the city. And that burst conceivably, well, I said in an unofficial sense, I said a coating to an inch for the city, which would still leave me about 0.4 of an inch short.
Right.
Not 0.4 of an inch, 0.4 inches short. But still, up here where we are in the Hudson Valley in Putnam County, I could see waking up on Wednesday morning to 2 inches of snow.
Oh yeah, no, you're well, Lindland,
and probably not all that much. Yeah, I'm not all that much on paved surface. Although I'll tell you, it's going to get cold tonight. It's going to stay in the 30s here tomorrow. So why not? Why not have accumulating snow even on my driveway come wake up time on Wednesday morning? But on Wednesday, it's going to change over to rain. The temperature will soar in the afternoon to near 50. I have no intention whatsoever to break out the snow shovel or the snow blower, even if there is 2 inches on the ground on Wednesday morning. And then after we get rid of that slop, then we'll concentrate on Thursday night and whether or not we're going to have another round of fun.
All right. Well, we'll come back to that whole concept in a moment. Let's do a little. We'll do a little business right now. The Joe and Joe Weather Show, brought to you by Wholesale Holiday Lighting by Giannini at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst. And their telephone number is 631-957-5106. The website is liholidaylighting.com. They are your complete holiday lighting specialist to meet all your decorating needs. Or maybe you want to do that to make some money come the fall as a business. Give them a call, 631-957-5106. Also, get your yard ready for spring with Omni True Value Hardware. They've got mulch, topsoil, and more. 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon. 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town. OmniTrueValue.com. So, Joe, in honor of the possibility uh, of getting that 1.4 inches of snow, I figured you'd need all the help you could get. So I went, kind of divine. And well, I said a novena to Sister Charles Edwards. And she's right there on the screen for you right now. So if you don't get that 1.4 inches,
Oh, dear me.
somebody's going to get hurt with that cross. Anyway,
Actually,
does that look like her?
no, no, it does not look like Sister Charles Edwards always had kind of an angry looking face. This particular nun looks indifferent. Although, let me assure you that Sister Charles Edwards would have made very good use of that cross.
Yeah, I bet. And her right hook. All right, so let's roll along.
Yes, yes.
So let's roll along and take a look at what's going on tonight. First off, looking at the satellite, this is what's left of the Colorado storm, Joe. It's getting east-west. The upper low is still pretty much intact in looks like in western Nebraska. But look at that long arm that extends eastward, and this quickly. It's amazing how much snow was produced yesterday. This was the third biggest snowstorm for Denver, by the way, on record. And we're going to go to the maps on that in a moment. But it's amazing how quickly this system is weakening. And the issue is, if you look out on the upper right, which, as soon as I can put the maps up on the screen, you'll be able to do that. There you go. So if you look up on the upper right, you'll see the system that is southeast of Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. And that really is part of this deep trough that's out along 60 degrees west that extends from Labrador southward right down to the Atlantic. And it's just, there's no room. There's no room for this system to survive as it moves to the east.
But there'll still be enough, I think, of a punch of moisture. As I said, not so much from later tomorrow, but for a short while tomorrow night, Joe. Again, probably during the mid or late evening hours, or maybe up until around midnight or so. I think we're going to be seeing the snow come down. I won't say heavily, but at a good steady clip, and then it will gradually begin to mix in with ice pellets, plain rain, by daybreak, especially across Long Island and New York City. Up here, I think it's going to wait until after sunrise before we see any mixing or changing.
It may be over with.
That's why I think that,
it might even be over with
think?
by then. Well, yeah, I'm just not impressed with this. I'm just not.
I think it could linger in some areas up until about almost noontime on Wednesday, but we'll see.
Yeah, the radar.
We shall see.
You better look that arm that's on the radar that extends from southeastern Minnesota across southern Wisconsin, and then down to Michigan, and then just kind of curls around into Ohio and West Virginia. You got to hope that whole area stays intact. And one of the things that the models are suggesting is that a lot of this winds up kind of getting, weakens, and then you get a low that tries to reform, a weak low that tries to reform just offshore, and that generates a little bit of moisture from it. I don't know. I just, whenever I look at these things, when you get these weather systems that are coming into a ridge position like we have here along the coast with the trough offshore, it's always dicey whether that winds up holding together or not. And I'm just, again, I'm playing. It's unusual for me to be. I'm usually the one that's more optimistic for snow amounts as opposed to you. That's not a criticism, by the way. That's just an observation. This time we seem to be on opposite ends of this. I don't know. Maybe I just want it to all go away.
Well, it would be nice if you're if you're a snow lover, it would be a nice thing if we had a storm coming out of the Gulf and moving up along the eastern seaboard with free and open access to Atlantic moisture. But again, this is coming in from the nation's midsection. It already occluded to maturity, if you will, when it was in the vicinity of Nebraska and Colorado and Wyoming, and it's kind of staggering, if you will, toward the east. It looks like there's going to be a secondary trying to form late tomorrow and tomorrow night. Although that second storm off of North Carolina, doesn't look like it's going to approach us too closely. But still, there's a lot of possibilities with this for tomorrow night.
Here's another.
And again, it's not going to be a major event.
Right.
I'm not looking for.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry. We have an audio delay going on tonight for some reason.
Sure, no.
No, I was just going to say, well, let's put this other issue on the table with regards to tomorrow, Joe. Look at these dew points. I mean, the dew points are down. We've got below zero dew points in some places this evening. Now, granted, it's not going to stay that low forever, but you do have a lot of very cold, dry. You have a lot of cold air, but you also have a lot of very dry air. So there may be an issue there too in trying to get this precip underway if the dew points don't come up.
That's true. I haven't. In fact, I should have looked at the latest, the 18Z. I'm not particularly, a fan of the 18Z runs, but I should have taken a look to see what the FOOS, the NAM FOOS has in terms of the R1, the lower levels of the atmosphere. 30 hours. Now, 30 hours is what? That's 8 o'clock tomorrow night.
Right.
And 8 o'clock tomorrow night, the R1 is only 77%. I have always used 80% as the cutoff. So you may very well be right, Joe. It may be snowing, but it won't be reaching the ground until maybe around after 8 o'clock tomorrow night, and that takes away a little bit from the potential snow amounts, at least for up here. I see. Let's see, 2, 6, 10. They're giving us about on the 18Z NAM. They're giving us up until 2 o'clock on Wednesday, one big tenth of an inch.
Yeah.
What can we make out of that?
Not much. Not much. So that's why I'm just, again, seeing a system that's running into a ridge along the East Coast to me is problematic. And in this particular case, when you've got, the whole shortwave complex goes from this wrapped up upper low to almost nothing as it gets here. So you're going to I'm basically taking a you got to prove it to me position on all of this. And again, wouldn't be the first time. If it winds up being that I'm incorrect, then I'm incorrect. We'll take it from there. But in the meantime, I just want to go back to. Hang on, I'm trying to get something that I forgot to do done. Okay, it's done. Never mind. There she is again, Joe. Oh, good. It was all, and none of this was on screen. Okay, that's good. We're having fun tonight. That's all it is. But there she is. Just another quick appearance from Sister Charles Edwards. Okay, so here's Ruthless Goat, our buddy Ruthless Goat, who lives in Loveland, Colorado. He finished up with 24 inches. I mean, these numbers are really spectacular. Denver International Airport, 27.1 inches was their total snowfall. It was the third snowiest, I believe it was the third snowiest on record for Denver, the third biggest snowstorm. I mean, some of these numbers out to the west of Metro Denver, 35.9 in Pine Cliff, Colorado, 39, 3 miles northeast of Aspen Springs, 30 inches, 3 miles northeast of Pine Cliff. And, throughout much of Denver, when you look at some of these numbers, you always have to check timestamps. But basically, it was a solid 20 to 30 inch snowfall in the metro area. I'm looking at the numbers around, what is it, 30.5 in North Highlands Ranch, Colorado, total snowfall. And then going north, we'll try to move our way up 25 on the Wyoming side. Also, some really big numbers in Cheyenne. 36. In Cheyenne, Cheyenne, Wyoming report 36 inches. I'm not sure that's the airport. Uh, uh, 30 inches, 30.8, 1 mile west northwest of Cheyenne Airport. 25, 3 miles northeast.
Don't forget.
I mean, these are crazy numbers here.
Don't forget, I mentioned yesterday morning that the Denver area proper, the immediate city, the forecasters there were only, quote unquote, only going for 12 to 18 and stressing that the heavier snows would be to the north and to the west. Well, they're right on that account, but they certainly picked up a lot more than 12 to 18 with that 27 that they picked up yesterday and last night and on into early today. So this particular storm system, in many cases, overperformed.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even be surprised, Joe, if there were some spots, especially in the high terrain areas that, where they're not measuring, but, maybe had like something like a 40 or 50 inches. It's something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, a couple of the models, by the way, yesterday, excuse me, Saturday night, showed us a shift west of the heavier snows. Not all of them, but some of them did. And then they came right back and flipped to the right during the morning hours on Thursday. So I think that might have, created a little bit of forecast chaos early Sunday morning where they moved some numbers around. I just also want to point out, around Laramie, Wyoming, also between 15 and 20 inches. And so this was certainly a powerhouse storm. And one of the big differences, by the way, just going back to what happened in February, there is no bitter cold air mass behind this. So it's not like we have this major storm and a huge Arctic high that's now plunging southward behind it and heading down into the Gulf states. So this is not the case this time around. And it's March. It's a little harder to bring those cold air masses that far south. And the other issue is, of course, in this particular storm, we weren't talking about a trough that runs from north to south from the Canadian border all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. This was let's call it it was a short wave, a wrapped up cutoff low, but the length of that was only about half of the U.S. So you don't have that big push of Arctic air. So let's move ahead to where we're going in the land of severe weather, because I think this is going to be a big deal. Well, no. Let's go to let's get to there first, because I think this is the severe weather issue is going to be a big deal. This is what we are seeing from the Storm Prediction Center, with a marginal risk tonight across central Missouri, and there's some activity that's been going on in and around Kansas City today. Marginal risk also down into Alabama and parts of Mississippi. The Storm Prediction Center for tomorrow is going to show a expanding area. There we go. Finally getting the map to load. An expanding area of marginal risk with 2 areas of slight risk. Those of you with evil minds, I know where you're going with this. But we have a slight risk in southern Kansas and northwest Oklahoma. Also a slight risk in south central Texas, and the marginal risk that runs across the lower Gulf states into Georgia. But take a look at day 3 now, Joe. And this is something SPC has been telegraphing now for the last 5 days. We're looking at a large area of enhanced risk. I wouldn't be surprised if we wind up seeing a moderate risk, a small area of moderate risk showing up when we get to this time frame. But that's a pretty healthy area of enhanced risk, and the slight risk extends even wider on either side, and moving up into southern Missouri, border on the west side in eastern Oklahoma and East Texas, and covering most of Louisiana, and then also on the eastern flank, getting into Georgia and getting up to about me with a marginal risk. I haven't had any severe weather since I've been here, so it'll be interesting to see if I get anything out of this. But this is a pretty healthy looking risk zone that SPC is doing. And then just to take it out on day 4, because they do have a excuse me, a day 4 risk area showing up eventually on the map. Wait a minute. They did. Did they change their minds on this? No, there it is. 15%, Joe.
Oh, no, there it is, Joe.
Yeah,
I see it.
15%. The Southern Virginia down to northern Florida. So we're gonna make up for lost time, I think, with regards to severe weather over the next couple of days.
And the reason why, those of you who are severe weather enthusiasts, all 6 of you, wondering why is it that maybe we might not see severe weather in our neck of the woods on Friday? And the reason is that for all the snow lovers out there who have got their fingers crossed, we've got that next plunge of cold air coming down out of eastern Canada that's going to more or less suppress the severe weather threat, but enhance the chance of freezing or snowy weather up here on Friday, with the colder air plunging southward, and again keeping all of the violent weather again from southern Virginia on south. It looks like more and more, Joe. Looks like Friday could be a very, very interesting weather day, not just here, but throughout much of the Atlantic seaboard.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. I think this is going to be this is definitely going to be a big outbreak for Wednesday in particular. And tonight we've had a couple of tornado warnings area, actually north of the marginal risk area that SPC had in Missouri. The last warnings were issued about 2 hours ago for Cass and Jackson counties. Cass and Jackson County in Missouri, and also Cass and Johnson County in Missouri. And those warnings both were issued 2 hours ago. They have now ended. And there were a couple of other tornado warnings from earlier in the day. You see on the radar, the last 2 on the tracker map here, we've got the track of a potential tornado from those last 2 warnings, which have now expired. But there was a lot of activity in and around the Kansas City area a couple hours ago. That has now moved on out to the east. And by the way, I put up links on the chat for tornadohq.com, which is a great website to have for severe weather, and also lightningmaps.org. Seeing some lightning strikes now going on near Sedalia in Mizzou. And also to the north and east of there, between Marshall and Boonville, seeing some lightning strikes showing up on lightningmaps.org, which is another good handy site to have.
It is, and looking at the chat board here, Reaver 501, Joe Chiaffi is the mountains of Georgia a severe weather hotspot, or do the mountains act to tear apart storms? I don't know if you've been down there long enough, Joe, to know the climatology of northern Georgia to be able to answer that question.
I don't know yet. I'm going to find out while I'm here this spring what happens. I will say, though, that while I've been here, we've had 2 instances where we had thunderstorms overnight, and they were rather loud back in January, and also back in January, there were 2 instances while I was down here. And so if they can happen in January, I don't have a sea breeze issue here. So I'm thinking the mountains, depending on the wind direction, would probably produce some rather interesting cells. But we'll find out. I'm going to find out just exactly what's going to happen with regards to Wednesday. And by the way, take a look at the upper air. I brought up the 700 millibar map for today, and you can see that first off, there's your upper low, which is what's left of the Missouri, the Colorado system back in Kansas. This was this morning, and of course, if you look on the right, you're going to see the deep trough off the East Coast. So the whole thing just gets ripped apart and suppressed. It kind of lifts up to the Great Lakes and really just disappears, and then you get this ridging that starts to pop up here. There is a little kink in the upper flow Tuesday night into Wednesday morning that moves across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Long Island, and southern New England, which is why the models are doing that little area of precip. Meanwhile, look at the wrapped up upper low in Oklahoma on Wednesday, and those jet streaks that are coming out of the western Gulf and go right up through Mississippi and Alabama and into Tennessee. I mean, that is a really strong jet that's coming up and around. Very strong Gulf inflow with this low that's in southern Missouri. So I would not at all be shocked to see some pretty active weather here. And then that upper low kind of holds together into Thursday night, which explains the severe weather risk for Thursday. You see the jet streaks there in the southeastern part of the U.S. up into southern Virginia. Now, with respect to the snow that we're talking about here, watch the trough up here in the north. This right up here, there's an upper trough that's coming down out of Canada. That's your cold air. And by Friday morning, it's right on the coast. Here's what's left of the southern system. Let me just clean this up a little bit. So here's your upper trough right there. That's your cold. That's your cold air. Okay, and this is what's left of the southern upper low. So it's kind of complicated here, Joe. You've got to get that cold air in here. It's going to try to get in here later Thursday night into Friday morning. If that happens, you'll probably see a changeover to snow by you. Northeast PA, northern New Jersey, Connecticut, maybe even into Long Island, and gradually that changeover will work southward. But eventually, all of that translates offshore, and then everything just goes, it's all over with, I think, by late Friday morning anyway. But that's how it's going to happen. And you need that upper trough to the north to come down and bring in the cold air, just as that southern system is kind of getting squashed underneath. And if you time it perfectly, yeah, maybe somebody could wind up with a few slushy inches, particularly in elevated areas. But if this is off, if the cold air takes a little longer to get in, or if it gets in so quickly that everything gets squashed to the south, then you're going to wind up with a totally different solution.
Well, I agree, and it's a telling significance if it does happen on Friday morning. Sometimes you get, you talk about bomb cyclones or bombogenesis. If you can get that southern system to react to that sudden influx of cold air coming down from that upper trough to the north, we could have a rather interesting morning here on Friday morning to finish out the week, which would make, I'm not going to say make sense, but it would be apropos because Friday is, after all, the last full day of winter, at least here in the northern hemisphere, and wouldn't it be interesting to just finish it all out with a well, we don't think it's possible, so we can't call it a surprise storm, but maybe an overperforming storm like what we had out in Wyoming and Colorado yesterday. Maybe something that'll overperform, and indeed, as you alluded to at the beginning of the show, Joe, maybe we'll bring that 1.4 inches that we would like to get to 40 inches at Central Park. Maybe that is the key, not so much what we may see here late tomorrow and tomorrow.
The 18Z GFS here, where you've got this high up in northeast New York, actually shows a little bit of snow aloft in southern New Jersey overnight. Got the main push. It's amazing how you have this major storm that 24 hours ago was crushing or just about finishing it in Colorado and Wyoming, and you're left with this 24 hours later, and then go out another 12 hours, and you're left with this, where you've got some rain in North Carolina, Southern Virginia, North Carolina, into northern Georgia, and even a few heavier downpours. I did not get my umbrella. But you also have some snow tomorrow morning showing up in western New York and western PA. Actually, the GFS even brings in a little bit of snow during the afternoon on Tuesday. And then it comes back again early Wednesday morning. But Joe, it's really scattered and very light one, of course. And you've got this much stronger low. This is the GFS's presentation of the radar. So you see on Wednesday how it develops what looks like a line of storms down from Arkansas into to about Houston, from say Little Rock to about Houston. Storms in northern Mississippi Wednesday night, and kind of salvages a line for later Thursday that moves into the southeast. The surface low goes into southern Ohio. We get into some rain. Now you start to see that colder air. Friday morning, the northern flank changes over to some snow. You see it there in the Hudson Valley, a small portion of northeast Pennsylvania, and into Connecticut. And then it changes just about everywhere, even down on the coast during Friday morning. Before the low. That little wave is going to strengthen, Joe, but it's going to probably do it when it's well southeast of Cape Cod. There's another, the isobars kind of get stretched
Right.
out, so there's another low off the Delaware coast, and that kind of pulls away to the northeast. Why don't you get the European up? Because this will be one of the last times we'll probably get to use it in a case like this. So why don't you get the European up? I'll put I'll flip a swish, as Ricky Ricardo would say. I'll flip a swish, and you can go ahead and let's take a look and see if the European is giving us any clues with respect to the two systems that we're dealing with.
And what you'd like to see, of course, is the intermediate, the 18Z, which we are bringing up right now.
Right.
Hang on. Oh,
What's the matter?
Joe, we forgot. We're on daylight saving time.
Oh, it's an
and
Now you know why
now
we don't like daylight saving time.
The 18Z is out, but it's out only to 60 hours, so that's not going to do any good.
Well, it'll take you.
What's going to happen?
All right, but it'll take you
the end of the week.
But it'll take you through the first one for Tuesday, and Tuesday night into early Wednesday. So take a look at that.
So, all right. So hang on, just a moment. Just a moment, please. Yeah, I hate daylight saving. As it turns out, Joe, you were hoping last week about daylight saving time being abolished, and that the Georgia politicos were going to go with Eastern Standard Time year round, but it's quite the opposite. I believe, from what I was able to see, they're all in favor of year-long daylight saving time.
Yeah,
Lord help us all.
Yes, exactly. All
right, so
I'll just have to just live with it.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Go to the northeast. We want the northeast. And wait a minute. Why does it keep going back to United States? I keep going to northeast. Northeast. There you go. Ta-da. This is 66 hours on your screen right now. This is for 12Z Thursday. And notice, if you will, 12Z Thursday, where the 540 line happens to be, all the way up near Burlington, Vermont, which is not going to do any of us any good if you want snow. However, if we weren't on daylight saving time and if we had a chance to look ahead, actually, in the coming minutes, hopefully we'll be able to get into Friday and get a better picture. But the assumption is that this cold air is going to push rapidly southward Thursday night and Friday morning, while all of this moisture associated with the storm comes on by to our south and moves off to the north and east. We could take a look at the system for tomorrow, and you could see just how it shrivels up. The green that you see here in the Ohio Valley, this is as of 8 o'clock this evening, and you could see that it doesn't look fantastic, but somewhat formidable. But look what happens in the hours to come. Here we go to 2 a.m. Here's 8 a.m. tomorrow. What happened? It's like falling apart right before your eyes. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Here's 8 p.m. tomorrow night. We're not even being grazed by anything more than 0.01 inch, a hundredth of an inch of moisture. And then as we continue, it's fighting with that new system trying to take shape along the mid-Atlantic coast to rub up some moisture, but doesn't look like it's going to be doing very much of anything. So looks like, Joe, maybe you're right. Maybe all of our hopes for getting to that 1.4 inch mark in Central Park will be with the system at the end of the week. Let me see. Let me hit update here. Whoops. Here we go. Northeast, we're up to 72 hours. 72 hours, and you can see the 540 is still well to the north. This is as of 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday, and here's our system with all of this moisture, all of this rain, some rather significant rainfall over in western and south central Pennsylvania, cutting across central Maryland, and down into the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area. And that's where we stand right now, Joe, with the European 72 hours on the 18Z run. And we'll see, maybe in another few minutes, we'll have Friday morning, and we'll see just how far that 540, which, as we've mentioned on many times before, is the general delineation line for rain versus snow. And we'll see where that is by Friday morning.
All right, so you you stay in charge of the European. In the meantime, we have to solve a Cara crisis for Jimmy 132. And let me just tell you, if you're going to buy the Cara oranges, you want to get the ones that are of size, because I made the mistake of buying a bag of small ones, and they were soft and they just really didn't taste good. You want them, you want to get the big ones. If you see them loose, buy them loose. It may cost you a little extra money, but you know what? You get to pick the oranges you want, and you make sure you get a good, large, firm orange. I have never ever had gotten a bad Cara orange that way. So just a little bit of produce advice when you go out shopping. And by the way,
the one of my daughter-in-law I mentioned about a week ago, an 8-pound bag. And most of those Cara oranges in the 8-pound bag, Joe, are about the size of baseballs. That's a pretty good size, pretty large size. I think.
I usually go for.
I don't know if they come any larger.
No,
but,
the loose ones. When I usually get them loose, Joe, they're the size of they're like softballs. They're big.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can get them big. They are a delicious experience. So let us make sure that we're all on the same Cara page when it comes to the Cara orange. So how far is the European out now? We would not be doing this.
Still out only to 78 hours.
All right, so we only got 2 frames left. But look, even at 78 hours is what? That's what is that? The evening? That's Thursday evening?
That's 8 o'clock on Thursday. 8 o'clock Thursday evening, yeah.
That 540 hasn't...
And there's the 540 up here.
Yeah, it hasn't really pushed very far south, has it?
No, but it'll be sometime between 8 p.m. on Thursday and 8 a.m. on Friday. So these next 2 frames will be the one that tell the tale. Thankfully, that would mean... this goes out, the 18Z goes out to 90 hours. So we should certainly encompass Friday morning. Let's hit the update button. Do we got anything here? Now we're up to 84 hours. So that we're at the penultimate frame. This is for 2 a.m. on Friday morning. And now here comes the 540. The 540 looks like it's diving south and east. But it looks like we're in the main batch. The main batch of heavy precipitation with this system. So again, this next one, the 90 hour, the last one available to us, maybe will tell the story. My assumption would be, based on what we saw on the GFS, that maybe by Friday morning, the European may actually have this 540 up in the Albany area on this run, maybe plunging southward into our area. And who knows, maybe there'll be still some
precip
copious
left.
Moisture for the cold air to work with.
Well, part of that wave's going to hang back. So that, I mean, you still got precip that shows up all the way back into Ohio. So it's kind of telling you that part of the wave is going to try to hang back there.
Right. So we still got a little ways to go. One more frame.
One more magic frame.
I would assume it's going to be coming our way in the next minute or two. One more magic frame.
Yes.
Which, of course, we wouldn't have to wait for if we weren't on daylight time. Dear me. There's a bill, apparently. There's like 15 senators I saw today, both Republican and Democratic, that are pushing to try to, and what are they calling it now? They're trying to put a new spin on the term daylight saving time. They're trying to make it so that daylight saving time will be. I'm not sure who the senators are in particular, but again, it's comprised. It's a bipartisan bill, and comprised of Democrats and Republicans. But that doesn't make any difference because if you're a politician, what the hell do you know about science? If you knew anything about science, you knew that daylight saving time really doesn't do very much
I'll tell you what it's done.
in terms of a beneficial.
I'll tell you what it's done for me. I'm back to sunrises now because I'm in where I am in northern Georgia, latitude longitude wise. I am about 7 degrees west of New York City, so my sunrise is, I don't know, to this morning it was still pitch black outside at 8 o'clock. So, I mean, I'm getting sunsets now a little after 7, but
Right.
I was finally happy that
I've never understood it. I've never understood why Atlanta, Georgia, and Georgia itself is on Eastern time. They are so far back west. They really should be on Central time, but that's one of the drawbacks of being where you are, Joe. I mean, they just want to have it on Eastern time, and you get those late sunrises in the morning during the winter season.
Yeah, no, it's annoying. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't affect me. People always, I don't know how they were used to it here because they live here year round. It's always been this way. But I remember, we had that many, many years ago when they brought daylight saving time so early, and people were complaining because their kids were going to school and it was dark until 8:30 in the morning. Well, guess what? That's kind of how it is here. And they start school here usually even before 8 o'clock. So, yeah. Anyhow, let's give it one more shot for the 90 hour.
Now the 90 hour is up now. But just to close out on daylight saving time, I just want to point one thing out. Here's the state of Michigan. This is the Lower Peninsula. This is the Upper Peninsula. Over here, right here, is a town by the name of Escanaba, Michigan. The entire state of Michigan is on Eastern time. Would you believe this? That here's Escanaba, Michigan. Here's Chicago. Chicago, for God's sake, is on Central time.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even done the calculation or whatever, but can you imagine how late the sun will rise in Escanaba if they go on year-round daylight saving time in the winter? It has to be rising like after 9 o'clock in the morning. And that also means in the summertime that the sun probably doesn't set until like after 10 o'clock in the evening.
Yep.
It's really must be wacky if you live up here. And it's going to get even wackier for these poor people in this part of the country if we go on a year-round daylight saving time spree. Now, 90 hours, 7 a.m. on Friday morning. Look, the 540 has now progressed all the way down to central Westchester County, according to the European. But as you pointed out, Joe, the storm, here it is, right here, is pulling away rapidly now off to the north and east. So just as the cold air is arriving here, that apparently is going to be about the same time that the nice moist air, the precipitation shield, is going to be departing. Let me just jump from back here. This is 2 a.m. on Friday. This is 8 a.m. on Friday. So you can see the 540, the cold air really drops quickly southward, but in the same manner, the moisture is rapidly retreating now off to the north and east. Now, this could change. Maybe, just maybe, in future runs, the low will be maybe a little closer. The cold air will be a little bit more robust and push further southward. We'll have to see how this all pans out. But that's for the end of the week, late Thursday night and Friday.
And in the meantime, we'll just offer up another novena to Sister Charles Edwards.
It's going to get rather windy.
What's that? Let's offer up another.
No, I was going to say it's going to get rather blustery. It looks like on Friday.
Yeah, Sister Charles Edwards. She may not be in line with this, so hopefully she'll come through with regards to Friday. Robert Brown was asking, saying that maybe you should just call over to the convent and have them pull some strings. Doesn't quite work that way, Robert. But Joe and I are kidding around with all of this. We had our wonderful Catholic school experiences when we were growing up, But it was all good though. At the end of the day, we didn't, we didn't wind up behind bars somehow. So they must have done something right.
My question would be, if the nuns back when we were, going to Catholic school, could the nuns do now what they used to do to us 50 years ago without invoking a lawsuit of some sort
Oh, they'd
from
all, yeah, no, no,
some of the
that's
parents?
the whole.
That's what I would like to know.
It's a whole different. It's a totally different world. It's not even a conversation we should be having. So let's just leave it at that. By the way, because I know it was the subject of conversation on the chat boards, I just wanted to kind of mention, the conversation was on the COVID vaccine, whether to get it or not to get it. My own personal feeling on this is, that getting a vaccine is a personal decision. So I think you should. That's something that you discuss with your doctor, and you decide whether you want to get the vaccine or not. You got vaccinated today. Very good. And so did Mrs. Rayo, correct?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So
yes, indeed.
I'll tell you what happened with me.
Yes, indeed. We both did.
So I'll tell you what happened with me today. So starting today, in the state of Georgia, they lowered the eligibility age to 55. They actually announced that back last Wednesday, but you could not make appointments being under 55 until today. Now, we could get into a conversation about, well, why couldn't you just make the appointments? They should be able to make the appointments, since if you're making an appointment for 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now, it changes. But no, the way the system works. So last night, a little after midnight, I was playing around on a couple of the websites, nothing. Then this morning, went on a couple of websites, and it was very hard to find a link to actually make an appointment. I got very Joe. I'm not tech stupid. I can kind of maneuver my way around. I just got so frustrated after 2 hours. So this is what I did. Believe it or not. So I went down to the Union County Health Department, which is right near, it's not too far from me. I drove up, I went in, and I said, and there's a sign outside that says you have to make your appointment. Here's the website. So I walk in, and the receptionist was there, and I said, oh, I just wanted, I'm new in town. I just was wondering, do I have to go, can I make an appointment it says no walk-ins. Can I make an appointment for a vaccine here with you? And she said, oh, sure. She says, let me see what's available. And, 2 seconds later, she says, how's Wednesday at 11:40 sound? I was like, okay, sure. Why not? It's great. Done. Done. So
it was like making an appointment at the barber.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look, in another couple of weeks, there's just going to be an absolute glut of vaccine available. So it'll be a lot easier to get, to book an appointment and to be able to get it. But that was just that simple. So I'm getting I don't know which one did you get? The Moderna, or the Pfizer, or the Johnson & Johnson?
Moderna.
You got
Moderna.
Moderna, yeah. I'm getting the Pfizer, and there is actually the CVS's here are getting the Johnson & Johnson single shot in the next week, but there's only a handful of CVS locations in the whole state that are actually doing vaccines. The way I look at it is, I weighed the risks in my mind, and the risks of getting not getting the shot, to me, far outweigh the risks of getting it. There's a risk in taking a Tylenol, okay? You take a risk when you cross the street if the light is red versus green. And in some neighborhoods, you take a risk when you cross the street even when the light is green. So kind of the way I look at it is,
Correct.
Here is, the risks are here if I take it. The risks are here if I don't take it. I think for me, the risks of not taking it are not taking the vaccine are worse than taking it. So we'll find out whether I suddenly start talking like Bill Gates or not, and I'll let you know how the chip feels when it goes in, and all the other nonsense that's flying around. By the way, here's what JJ thinks. Let me see if I can. He slept through the whole show. I want you to know, but there he is. JJ is out. We walked
If you
5.
get those big thunderstorms in a couple of days, though, maybe he's not going to be so.
Well, you know what?
Maybe he might react to them.
Yeah, my Cody, my Springer Spaniel Cody, he was odd because he actually loved thunderstorms. He used to go outside during thunderstorms and run toward the lightning and bark at the lightning as if to say, "Okay, you don't belong here. You need to go away." So that thought crossed my mind too. I'm going to be curious to see what JJ does when he hears the thunder and sees the lightning, whether he'll react the same way. Because they're both. This dog is very much like my Cody was in a lot of ways. It's almost scary. I think did Cody come back? But he and I walked over 5
Who
miles
knows?
today, so he's exhausted.
No, I wasn't going to be walking at all. We had like temperatures that were struggling this morning just to get above 30, and still a bit of a wind. Joe, I don't know what it is. All of a sudden, the last 3 or 4 days here, we've had quite a bit of wind. We've had a couple of wind advisories, and it looks like now, regardless of whether we get rain, snow, or whatever on Friday, I think it looks like toward the end of the week, the wind machine is going to get turned on once again. It's been a very windy late winter here.
Yeah, but at least with the second system, there'll be a fair amount of rain, so we won't have to deal with red flag warnings and brush fires at least for a couple of days. I mean, these dew points today were just was ridiculous to see. Below zero dew points. That just doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while in March it does, and you get these
Correct.
situations going in the spring where it gets Arizona dry. And we've already seen, we saw a big brush fire yesterday in New Jersey, in Ocean County, near the Garden State Parkway. So it's quite possible that's going to, we're going to have a setup along the way in the next month or two where we're going to have some brush fire issues. So that's just part of living up here in the spring. Ready to run through a quick round of Briller Jeopardy?
We'll be waving our red flags.
Yes. So let's run through Briller
Sure.
Jeopardy. Hang on a second. I don't know if I mentioned this to you yesterday, Joe, and a few people have gotten it. This Facebook update that they did is horrible. I mean, it's just awful. Navigating it, I was used to when they switch things, you get kind of this is really impossible. I'm having such a difficult time. I have to. So basically, what they did was.
Well, I tell you.
Go ahead,
I mean,
you go.
I'm only getting used to the new quote unquote version that we've had for the last couple of months, and now you're telling me they're going to change it again.
Well, so what they did was.
Story is on that.
So what they did was your weather page profile, Joe Rayo Weather, okay, is now going to be treated like almost
right.
It's treated almost as a completely separate profile from your personal page. So you have to switch back and forth between one and the other. And it's a real pain in the neck because I've got stuff that's tied to the weather page. I've got stuff that's tied to my personal page. And of course, it's all buggy. So sharing buttons aren't working. Posting on other pages isn't working. It's just crazy. It just is crazy. All right, so here we go. You ready? This is from the chairman.
Yes, sir.
Left this for me, and we're not a fan. So here are the questions for today. Question 1: in the episode where each cast member was shown dreaming, who woke up Colonel Potter?
Okay, you're going to have to say that question again, Joe, because unfortunately, I guess we're losing
Yeah, the
the
audio is
quality,
dying.
and I'm buffering here.
Okay, let me try it again. In the episode where cast member each
Maybe we should try this.
want to do it tomorrow?
Let's try this tomorrow.
Okay,
I think
because we are starting to
again,
get
we're
some
starting
issues.
to wobble.
Okay.
So to speak.
All right. Let me just let me just very quickly say that the Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you. Well, that was weird. The Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by OmniTrue Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, 631-756-1125. The website is omnitruevalue.com, and they've got mulch, topsoil, and gravel, and everything you need to get your yard in order for the new spring season, should we ever get rid of all this cold air. And also brought to you by Wholesale Holiday Lighting by Giannini at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst. Let me just fix that frame there so you can get a good shot of the website. They're at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst, 631-957-5106. They are your holiday lighting specialists, meeting all your decorating needs, and the website is liholidaylighting.com. So I guess we'll be back tomorrow at 7:30. Okay?
7:30 tomorrow night. We'll be here, and we'll see how much I think tomorrow night of the impending snow event that comes our way. But you may be right. It may be more Friday than Tuesday